American League tonight now that the wild card games are out of the way. And we'll look ahead to the Browns with JK, see where he's at heading into Tennessee. Speaking of Tennessee, we do the Friday thing as we always do. That means Jeff Gorman from Browns 101. He's in the house breaking down the opponent, the Titans. He's got the full scouting report on how the Titans can beat the Browns. Then we flip it over. Ryan Ruiz of Dog Pound Daily now, as he is taking up work with a different group, which is a cool thing we'll talk to him about tomorrow. But Ryan Ruiz is going to be with us to give his dog bones, that is, to how the Browns can win the game. So Jeff Gorman on one side, Ryan Ruiz on the other. We'll cover it, set your slate for the Browns and the Titans coming in this weekend. Buckeyes are taking on Maryland. They've got a whole lot going on and a whole lot to talk about on Monday, but that's all tomorrow, and Monday we're all looking ahead to that. So busy slate tomorrow. Can't wait to bring the Friday show to you guys here as we wrap things up. I didn't mention it with BJ last segment, but I did want to bring this up. Larry Donnell brought himself into the news this week, not just with his 7 for 54 and 3 touchdown reception performance last week in the Giants-Redskins game that came out of nowhere. And I'm curious if I have a percentage, how many people started Larry Donnell last week. I'm guessing that if you did, good luck to you. I want to hear from you if you started him last week, because he didn't even start himself. That's something. He benched himself last week and played Vernon Davis instead, the tight end for the 49ers, and he lost. He said, "Man, I would have won if I just played myself." But I'm just saying, I'm guessing not many of you guys out there started Larry Donnell. Maybe somebody did, but if you didn't believe in him, don't feel bad, because he didn't believe in himself either. The one article that I read said even if you could have got a hold of him, he may have talked you out of putting him in the lineup. He had no idea that kind of performance was coming. And he said during the game, he realized about halfway through the game that he was having this incredible game and that he benched himself in fantasy. So even during the game, his fantasy stats popped into his head as he said, "Wow, I can't believe I benched myself. I'm having a pretty good game today." So I'm sure a lot more people will start Larry Donnell in the future going forward. I mean, he had 1 touchdown previous to that. So, but pretty funny that he came out and said, "Man, I would have won if I would have just played myself." But and I get a kick out of that too, man. They have some fun with that. But it just goes to show you. And now, see, that's the side that some people point out that they don't like about fantasy football. They equate it in some ways, especially people that really don't get into it, to gambling. And what's the difference between having big money on who's going to win or lose a game and having big money, because there are big money cash fantasy leagues. They're not all for fun. They're not all for prizes. There's some big money stuff. And what's to stop, people from influencing games based on money that they could win outside of that? Like, part of me says that the money is not that big, that it's that big of a problem, but just that statement, it does show you that during a game, these cats know, they're talking about it, nudging each other and going, "Hey man, you're having a pretty good fantasy day today. Bet people are glad they started you." It's out there. It's part of the world that we live in there. But yeah, so pretty funny that he went to town, sat himself on the bench, and would have won if he played himself. So there you go. Guys, that's going to do it for the day today. We're going to head out. Obviously, no games to locally focus on tonight, but that doesn't mean that there's not stuff to get into. You've got the NFL. They kick off Week 5, Minnesota and Green Bay tonight at 8:30, but you've also got a couple of meaningful baseball games. We talk about a meaningful September. Well, they don't get any more meaningful than once you hit the playoffs and the wild cards are done. We are down to 8 dancing their way to the World Series. American League Division Series kick off tonight. You got the Tigers and the Orioles. The lesser of two evils to me, the Orioles. I'd much rather they take that series. 5:37. There's one of those awkward times. 5:37 will be the first pitch for the Tigers and the Orioles. 9:07, Kansas City, fresh off that exciting victory over Oakland. They kick off their series with the L.A. Angels. That's going to be a David and Goliath battle over there. And then, of course, the two winners will meet in the championship series. Then Friday, the National League gets their slate of games going. San Francisco and Washington, St. Louis and the Dodgers. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. We'll talk about the winners of tonight's game. There's football. I saw Charles in the chat room. Menor High going at it tonight. I was just at their school last week. What a beautiful place. I don't know if I mentioned it this week on the air, but the Lake Catholic game that I called last week was live from Menor Stadium. That was where their home stadium is out there. Man, just a beautiful place. They got total new field this year, man, all redone. Good stuff, man. Looked really professional, first class, great place to play some football. If you're in high school and you play out there, consider yourself lucky, because I see some of the places that Jerry Jr. gets to play, and let's just say they're not. Matter of fact, he went with me, and he went with me and watched the game, and between the field and no offense, by the way, if anybody that goes to Cleveland Public Schools is listening, I'm just saying, my son goes there as well, and he noticed the difference. He goes, man, Dad, from the band to the field to the teams, it doesn't get much different than this. And what I said, I know it's a little bit of a different world than your first exposure to high school football, which unfortunately is a byproduct of starting out in a lower program and as a freshman. It'll all get better for him, but yeah, he had his eyes open wide. He's like, man, and he was out on the field with me doing pregame interviews. He's like, Dad, they're all so big. Looking around, I'm like, well, first off, Jerry, you're just a freshman. You've still got. I get used to the fact that he's already close to my size. He's a pretty big boy, but he's got a lot of growing left to do. But he's looking around. He's like, man. I said, Jerry, relax. I said, part of that is nature. That's not Cleveland Public Schools' fault. The disorganization. There's all kinds of other stuff that is the school's fault, but that's not one of them. But yeah, just seeing a high level of football like that, he was like, man, I'm not doing it right, am I? I said, it's not your fault, Jerry. But yeah, you're missing out on a few things. But Menor, beautiful place, to get back to the beginning of the story. Beautiful place to play some football, that's for sure. Menor taking on Shaker Heights tonight. Yeah, Charles, I know you went to Menor. That's why you mentioned that in the chat room. All right, guys, we're going to call it a day. You got baseball, you've got football, you got all kinds of things to watch, and we're going to come here tomorrow. We're going to break it down, talk about it, set the stage for the weekend, and do the Friday thing like we do each and every weekday, live at noon. Same bat time, baby, same bat channel here on the Sports Fix. We love you, Cleveland. Have a great night. Come on back tomorrow. Wrap up the week with us. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Sports Fix.
Try to steal my heart, but we brought it back. Thanks to Cleveland Clinic, now they call them kids to cardiac. Rock Call, Science Center, Tower City, all of that. Warehouse District, Euclid Corridor, and all the flat. You know that I'm a Tribes fan, and I love sliming. Crockett Park's the perfect place for me to spend some time in. Baby, this is Cleveland. It is so much more to us. You can even go to Severance Hall to see an orchestra.
Hey. Cleveland, we rep our city.
Yeah.
Blue lights separate the crime from the gritty. Red 6 cities, hood class cover any city that we visit.